So, I've been using this phone for about a week and a half, and it's whatever, I would say. So, it runs spec-wise a MediaTek Dimensity 700 with 5G, which is a 2-year-old chip. It has a 5000 mAh battery with a 18 watt charging with a 22.5 watt in box, which is nice, but you're giving 33 watt at least on every other device. Just at least give us 33 watt charging. It has LPDDR4X and UFS 2.2 RAM. It has 4 gigabytes with 64 and 128, and it has expandable storage up to 1 terabyte. And as of this review, it is running MIUI 13 based on Android 12. Now it has a 6.5-inch full HD dot drop display with a 1080p resolution at IPS. It has 3060 or 90 Hz. It has a touch sampling rate of up to 240 with a brightness of 500 nits, which is actually low, and outdoors it was hard to make sense of some of the stuff. Coloring, even though this is an IPS panel and I actually do like them, the coloring on this, according to what pictures I saw in here and what I saw on my computer, comparing the two side by side, I did not like the color of the screen. And it claims Corning Gorilla Glass, but it doesn't tell me what. And yeah, and then it has a 13 megapixel rear camera with a 2 megapixel depth camera and then a 5 megapixel front camera. No OIS, and the camera really doesn't have a lot of clarity to it. I'm legit not the happiest. It comes in a couple different colors. The black you see here, a cool blue, and a Poco yellow. And then of course it has dual standby 5G SIM cards, Bluetooth 5.1, and no Wi-Fi 6. NFC is dependent on region, has a side fingerprint scanner, and an AI face unlock, which is basically just scans your picture of your face. So, looking around, as you can tell, this back is really fingerprint hungry. And I'm not a fan of this whole thing. Why can't we just have it with these two bumps itself? Like, I'm pulling out a phone from 2 years ago that also runs a Dimensity 700 chip. One of the first Pocos to come with a Dimensity. This is the M3 Pro. And forgetting how glossy the back is, and you can tell fingerprints, look, at least the hump of the camera is right here and doesn't take up the whole amount of the screen. Now, using this 2 years ago, and then coming back to using a Dimensity 700 today, in the last week and a half, this phone really felt like a slow phone. Like, I wasn't the happiest. This M3 Pro came with a Dimensity 700, came with 664, and then it also came with the 128. And then the other problem with this was this one also came with a 22 watt charger in the box. Like, it literally screams, I'm taking a processor and specs what seems like from 2 years ago and putting it in today. Now, 90 Hz is great in a phone. At least they're throwing 13 megapixel, not just, oh, I have 15 megapixel, look at me, type of deal. It's not really, doesn't have more than just a 3060 or 90 Hz dynamic display, but this is even worse now. This display is basically similar display to what you see in the Poco C40, $100 device, like a budget device. And you're seeing that it has right up here, if you can tell, right over here where this notch is, that is an actual proximity sensor. But when you go and you rest your hand, let's say you want to watch a movie, so you rest your hand like this, it literally just blops out the proximity sensor. Like, it's actually that bad. And then it has the same bezels as my Poco C40. It has the same screen and everything, except the C40 is 720, this one's 1080, that's the only difference. Otherwise, it felt exactly like it was the same screen. I didn't really feel a big difference at all in the screen. I wasn't pleasant enough to use the screen properly. it's just try a bit harder, please. Like, I know, yes, but for a little bit more, you can get yourself a better design, a better camera, better screen. Now, you can check your local market for better for your pricing, but it should be about 150 to 170, and if that's the case, just step up to about 230 and get yourself some of the other Dimensity 810 chips, or maybe even a Note 11. There's a lot more that you can get for the price over this specific phone, especially for the screen. The cameras are one thing that I was just okay with. So I'm going to throw some camera samples here. I also took some video samples, so enjoy them. So this photo is properly exposed. The colors are fine. The greens are a bit too dull for me. Otherwise, it's fine. It's properly exposed and sharp. And then you have this image where the left side is blown out a bit, and then the right side also has blown out on the rocks from the light, which I hope can be fixed. And then you have this where the left side, as you can see, is blown out, so it's compensating shadows, but then the shadows aren't bright enough to be able to see stuff properly. And then when I take it again, I try to move just a bit. Same exact image style happening. It just gets killed in the shadows. So that's an issue. And then this, the beach is underexposed by a bit just because there is a light coming in from the side, from the top down, from the sun, which kills it. And then this one, that globe ball is a bit overexposed, has a bright spot. Otherwise, it's properly exposed. So the greens and the blues are a bit dead in this image. And then you have this one where once you don't have that sun coming down, it's actually properly exposed on the beach area, which is great. It looks nice. Then you have this one where it could be a bit brighter in the concrete stuff, but you can see all the pores and all the holes and stuff. And then this one, you can see it again, compensating for the background still, but it's not too bad. Like, this one is actually good. It's not the sharpest, but it could be worked with. And then this one is overexposed. Like, the background, I don't know how that happened, but the background got overexposed, and everything on the front is exposed properly a bit, and then, or wasn't really exposed properly. In this one, you see the one leading line from the fence is bright, otherwise it's good. And then you see it again from a tiny bit of a different angle. Stuff has good coloring here, could be a bit sharper, but again, that leading line from the fence is overexposed. Then you see, I covered up the depth sensor to see what happened, and the phone killed itself. Like, it actually needs a depth sensor to be able to process the portrait properly. So when I took my finger off the depth sensor, this is the image that I got. It isn't a bad portrait, like, it actually is workable. So it's good. And then we have panorama, where for some reason, just because the sun's coming down, the rest of the image can't be exposed properly. So you see that it's all just very dark. And then this one, it's blown out in that one spot where the sun's coming down. Otherwise, everything else is properly exposed. I don't know why this one happened to look good. And then you have your HDR shots, which, as you saw from the beginning, this one properly exposes on the left and the right, so the concrete isn't too overexposed. Another shot, and this is what you get. Same position. No portrait on any of these ones right here. This is just the natural bokeh that you get. And then you have it again, a bit bright on the left and the right. Again, it looks great. Colors are great from this, what it is. And then this one, HDR actually fixes that sun that comes down, and it properly exposed the bottom. Could be a bit sharper, and then it works. And then the front-facing camera could be sharper too. This shot looks fine because there's not real sun in the background, but this next shot is overexposed in the sun. Everything else seems to be semi-exposed properly, but that bright sky is why. Front-facing video at 1080-60, and I'm holding my phone out as much as I am any other phone, and you can see it's not too wide. This is what it looks like. No, it doesn't seem like there's any electronic image stabilization, because if I start to walk, yeah, that's not good. This is a 1080p 30 video test with whatever stabilization it may have.
Not sharp, no EIS,
No
no
optical
OIS.
image stabilization,
Of
so if you can
no
hear me,
EIS.
congratulations to you
And it's
for being
not
able to hear
sharp,
me properly.
and it's very
And if this
shaky.
video isn't shaky, congratulations
And the colors
to you too,
are a bit dull,
because
especially in the greens. Like, I know it's supposed to be a bit greener
I'm
than
just
this.
going as fast as I can over here in my flip-flops on a skateboard. So if you can hear me, kudos. If you can't, fuck you. Here we go.
But this is a properly not shaky area, and it happens to just be very shaky and not sharp enough.
Wow.
This is the problem with this camera. I would not buy this.
This is something else, the wind too. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is the single bottom firing speaker. Now my problem with this single bottom firing speaker right here is the fact that it's a single bottom firing speaker and not dual speakers. Like, bro, dual speakers, single speaker. I don't care if it's a dual speaker where the top one is a bit weaker, but like at least give me, because it's not as pleasant anymore with all the dual speaker phones coming out. So let's listen to a song and you'll notice it. Now I literally just covered the bottom speaker and the thing goes crazy. So if I go like this, and this is how I'm holding my phone, look at that. You have to hold it one direction for it to be good. Now, I've been watching and listening to stuff on here, and to me, the sound is treble, no bass, and the clarity is of what it is just okay. Some stuff got mixed together. Like, I know this probably sounds confusing, but like some of the noises that I'm listening to sound a little mixed together, and it has no bass, and it's super trebly. Like, it wasn't enjoyable enough for me, and I think it would need to be tuned for it to be even good, which is a problem. Now, since it is not Atmos, since it is a LCD panel, it does not have always on display. Not the end of the world. And if I go into special features, you don't actually get a lot. You get Game Turbo, Video Toolbox, Floating Windows, and Second Space in your special features. But you get all the rest of the stuff. You get 6 gigs of RAM and 2 gigs of memory extension if you wanted it. And you get up to 128 gigs of storage, which is nice. But still, my main issue with this is it's running a MediaTek Dimensity 700. That is a 2-year-old chip that, I don't know, it's still running the 7nm processor. Everything. It's just like, why? The camera isn't as sharp as I expected it to be. Some of the shadows don't get boosted enough to be able to see details that you'd want a bit. I don't know, it's just one of these phones that, like, it's coming out, but it's something that I wouldn't run. Now, I'm not saying, oh, it's the worst device because, hey, I'm running Poco M4 with the Snapdragon 870. No. I've used MediaTek Dimensity 810 about $210 for one of the phones. I think it was the Poco, the Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus 5G. Maybe that could have been a bit more. No, so it goes for $300 for that one. But I've used phones like $300. You guys seen it for $350, and even so, it has an IPS display, and the camera was great. The sound was amazing, but then you get this, which seems like they half-assed a phone to tell you, oh look, we have 50 billion phones that come out this year. Like, it's not like I hate Poco or hate Xiaomi, hate Redmi, hate me, whatever you want to call it. It's more of just, if you're putting out a phone for the sake of putting out a phone, stop, please. I'm not the biggest fan of just throwing a phone out there to be out there, please think about the specs a bit more. When I was using this, I got lag. It wasn't so fast. It really felt like it was a 2-year-old phone, even though it's just coming out. Please. At the end of the day, it's all up to what you want to spend. I don't recommend it. Although, if you do like it, go ahead and buy it. I will put a link down below. Also, definitely please rate, comment, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.